Hi, I'm Jane Marks, and this is From the Heart. I'm so thrilled to welcome you back to our conversation with the legendary George Clinton. As one of the originators of the funk genre, George has had an immeasurable impact on today's music, influencing hip-hop, R&B, and popular music. While we may know him best as the godfather of funk, George continues to evolve and reinvent himself in so many ways. Now, in recent years, he's made a commitment to his health, and he has taken his artistry into a new medium. And before we dive deep into George's latest endeavors, we're so delighted to welcome to the show George's beautiful wife, Caroline Thompson Clinton. Caroline, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us on the show and giving us a platform. We really appreciate it.
How did you and George meet?
I'm from Houston, Texas, and I used to manage a record store, well, half owner, and we would have in stores. And everybody, if you came to Houston, you would actually come to my store, and George would always come to the in-store, and I would learn so much about him. And eventually I ended up making some sweatsuits that he really enjoyed, and we just kept up the relationship. I started managing him, and we fell in love.
You fell in love. And don't you love the story? They fell in love. And so, I have to tell our audience, we've been friends for years. And I think what's so important is that what I admire so much about the two of you is your commitment to health. And I think that's important for all of us. So can you tell our audience a little bit about how you and George did indeed change your lifestyle?
Well, I think we need to give praise to God first and you, because when we moved here, his health was really in bad shape. And you referred us to the best doctor in Tallahassee. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Forsthoffel. And he got us on the right track. And from then on, we started juicing. We have a garden. We have everything in the garden. I think I made you a mint, carrots, and something else. Kale last night, which was delicious. And just making sure that he makes all of his doctor's appointments. We walk. And it's very important because he's an entertainer. And so he wants to be able to fulfill the need of the people, and we have to be healthy. And we also, it rubs off on the rest of the band and family members. So,
well, I was taking medicine for the wrong reason before I met her.
You were self-medicating in a different way.
I had it all backwards. I was doing the drugs, but not for the right reason. And, that was part of my lifestyle growing up, and I had to stop. At some point you have to stop, and she was that inspiration to point out that might be what it is. She didn't say that, but she was there to help me. I can watch her taking care of herself, and the first chance I got to be able to change my life and saw how it affected me, not having to chase those other drugs, that was such a nice. I want to thank you for Stoffel, too.
yes, thank you.
I was in bad shape. I never paid no attention to it because I was still doing what I wanted to do as far as singing, but it was going to catch up to me. But at that moment, it flipped, and when I saw how it did, and I had so much time left that I had energy once I didn't have to chase the wrong meds. Now I don't take any meds,
And that's what's so amazing. I think to be 80 years of age, not to take any medication, making the choices that you make. And that's what's critical for people in general, that the more you take care of yourself. Here we're looking at an 80-year-old artist.
Yeah, well, I like I said, I took all mine ahead of time. I don't know how to take no more, if that's what it is. And I feel much better, like I say. And during this pandemic time, the time we had off, that's when it showed up. I was able to make the choice of not worrying about being cooped up, but flip it immediately to something that I love doing, which is the art, Overton Lord, Pedro Bell, the people that draw P-Funk album covers. Mm-hmm. We have a hell of a following of people that just like to read our covers. Right. They like to look at the pictures. So that's been my love, doodling for a long time. I had a whole year I mean, you can see this whole room. I mean, it's over 1,000 paintings in here. Half of them was done
During the pandemic?
Wow.
Wow.
I made up my mind. She bought me this canvas here for my birthday last year.
Blank.
Blank now, this canvas and a lot of the other ones you see around here. And I've been in here pretty much every day, you know, and the birdhouses outside, the whole thing. I found a whole new relaxation, and we done turned it into now. I got an art manager. We selling paintings and that one right there just sold for $24,000. See, I know you can't. I'm pointing to it, but you can't see it.
No, we can't say, but here's what you're saying. What you're saying is that you have taken a passion and you've taken the time that we've had off, that we didn't even realize that we all needed that time off, and have turned it into not just a passion, but not a mission. You know, this is a gift. And again, what it tells our audience is that we must continue to find ways to express ourselves. And, you know, it's interesting because in our last show, we talked about social justice. And the first image that I have is Attorney Ben Crump in the middle of this painting.
But that's up to Overton Lord over there. He's the one I spoke about, did our album covers. He have inspired us to get off into the social justice thing again. I mean, he's give you hope. And at the same time, this painting was that we had done the painting. He had put John Lewis up here and Martin Luther King feet from the march in Selma. That's what that's from up there. And when Ben came, you know, like I say, he's a fraternity brother, frat brother. I said to Overton, I say, stick him in the middle of the painting, you know, because we moved this. The march is still going on.
Yes.
And so he banged him, and you know, he wanted 3 weeks. He liked to take a long time. He didn't have but a few hours. So, but he did. You can see that's that expression. That's a serious expression right there.
So it's not only just doing your own music, but we're talking about your art giving back to the community as well. And we continue to talk about how you take action, that you're a man of passion, but you take action and you're serving your community. And again, reinventing yourself at 80 years of age.
Yes.
You know, when you think in terms of what art means to you, well, and what art means to so many people, I think one of the questions that I have is, how did you first get started? How did you make that very first painting?
You know, it probably was my autograph. I used to do an autograph, and I used to just make 2 eyes, you know, and that was a little nose on the end of it, and it was some kind of people related to a dog. I wasn't even thinking of it as that. I was just designed, and I did it so much that after a while, I started seeing that people say, do the dog, put the dog on there. I'm signed and put the dog, and I get the dog on mine. And okay. And after that, you know, it's just time on your hand. After that, you know, like I'm saying, you're just sitting around the hotel room doodling. And then Overton again, he's been with us forever, and Pedro. You know, anybody that be into Funkadelic end up trying to doodle either a Bootsy or Dr. Funkenstein. I never try to draw nothing like that because I'm colorblind, first of all.
And I think that's an important issue, the fact that here we have a famous artist now who is just doing extraordinary work. And I think the audience can see this is fabulous, and you are colorblind.
Yeah, but like I said, that's mostly rhythm. That's mostly rhythm, just like in the songs, the stroking and I usually just paint on the can. If it ain't got red on there, I'll paint something, write something, and put it on there as red and blue and green. If the kids don't come around and take the things off and switch them on me, I'll know where the red's at.
So you actually put labels on that. In other words, you have created accommodations, right, so to make it happen.
They actually have them set up in spaces where I know the blues and the green. I know exactly where they're at without even, you know, but sometimes I get carried away, I don't even care. I just start grabbing stuff, and for some reason the frequency of the shades is what I use as color. The lights and the dark and the variation. So I don't know what shades it is, but it feels good to me, and it actually became something. After a while, I can actually feel it, as if though Everybody try to bust me, do I know what colors it is? When I'm looking at, I know, but I got a pretty good feeling for it. And now once I look back at it, I can't tell you what I did, because I ain't got the cans there. But I can feel, some of them I remember because it's bold enough. Oh, that was a red. I remember doing that. I remember when I did that. But most of the times, once I'm finished with it, I couldn't go back and pick it out. But it's a good way of easing your nerves and giving you a chill out thing.
Yes.
And once you find out that it's kind of all right, I'm Leo. Your ego get involved. Oh, I got this. This actually worked. But once that get into it, it's the same as being on stage.
Well, so it's interesting because you're telling us so many things today. Because when you talk about the fact that once you discovered that this was not only a passion, it became a craft, and you continue to work at it. It has continued to evolve, just as you have evolved as an artist. Yeah, and in your music, you've evolved as an artist, in the visual art as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it surprised me, like I said. But once I realized I'm gonna be here a year, they thought I could tell immediately when the pandemic started. Oh, this is getting ready to go sit in the corner for a while.
Right.
Don't even worry about going nowhere. And I'm in that age that's gonna be in trouble if I get it. So it was no problem for me to just, I'm going out in the backyard. I'm gonna buy me some canvases. Like I said, she had this one made. I sat down prepared to do this for a year. And I knew when I come out of this, I'm gonna have so many of these things. They ain't gonna know, it's gonna be bad. So immediately once I got started, I run out of canvas. She bought birdhouses and said, paint that. And I painted. And remember Anderson Cooper saw us on online.
Instagram.
We online, the Snapchat or something. We on there painting. And he said, I want you to do that on my show. So we went on CNN painting, and all of a sudden, everybody started calling up for birdhouses.
Right.
Then I realized what I'm doing is really working. We not only got this whole building, you see all these paintings, we got a barn over here next door that's full of stuff. We had to move, we had this part built onto the place. Just as the pandemic started, this part wasn't even finished yet.
With two lessons here, and again, I'm always thinking about lessons for our teenagers. And one is that you can be fearless if you have something that you have a passion about, and you must go in there and at least run up the flagpole, see if it's going to work. You can try it. But the second, there's a bigger message here, and I think the bigger message is simply this: is that if your heart is in it, because not all of us are going to be creative geniuses, but if you're persistent in it. And that's a message that comes loud.
It becomes easy.
Right.
It becomes easy. Like I said, once we agreed that it's for the group, it's for the concept, it's for the whole movement. Everything we do, is whether she's doing it from her point of view or my point of view, or I'm doing it from my point of view or her point of view, it's pretty much going in the same direction.
Now the paintings are all over the world. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so some of the countries. Tell us some of the countries where they are.
UA. He just did an art show in UA.
Wow. I saw one in
Japan,
Tokyo, and it is just now. This year is just now getting really commercial. We never really was trying to like sell anything.
Right.
We had you bought one of the first ones.
Yes.
Back in 99, and so we've been doing it all the time, but now it's time for us to take off. Back then we was getting ready to start, when we was working with Scott Carswell. Back then we was staying at the moon. So we laid low for a minute, but now we're back with a vengeance.
I just want to say quickly, I really find it interesting that George sees shades of gray and white. And he's been known for such a colorful man all of his life with his hair and everything. And the artwork that he makes colors because he doesn't know that it's color. And I asked him if he wanted to have a surgery where he can correct it. He said, no, I don't want to. If I have to know better, I don't want it. I want to be able to see it just the way I see it, colorless.
And so the expression comes from your heart. And again, the message to young people is that it's there. You go ahead and you express it. You act on it. You take action. And again, we think about what lessons are there for this young generation. And George, on every level, you speak to that.
Do the best you can and funk it.
Do the best you can and funk it. Well, we'll be right back. So you don't want to miss a minute. Welcome back. We're with George Clinton and his lovely wife, Carlon. And of course, they're fascinating to talk to. But one of the questions that I was thinking about as you were talking is that what inspires you? What happens to you through this creative process? You talked about, again, being sequestered basically for a year and just putting out painting after painting. Is there certain inspiration, or you just put the brush to the canvas and just go from there?
I think this last year has been a mission because of the pandemic. I just wanted to have a whole lot of work done when it was over so I could have something to show, because I know it would be surprising. At the same time, it kept me busy, but the motivating thing was I knew this is going to catch them off guard. Ain't nobody expecting that, blah, 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 blah. And at the same time, I actually was learning other lexicons, as Overton called, started naming what I was doing. To me, I'm just moving. I'm just doing stuff. But he started educating me on the strokes as language, and as I started understanding what artists do, how they speak the language of painting. So it's the strokes and the techniques and all of that. That started becoming obvious. Okay, there is a method to this. Right. I was doing it the way I do music. I just go and make music, just come in the studio, make a noise, and somebody make noise with it, and you roll the tape, and we ad-lib. And so it became that in the painting, but somewhere along the line, it started actually becoming serious enough to actually get a concept and make up colors. Since I'm colorblind, I know I mix colors together, put white in there, I'm gonna get a shade that works for all of them. So I actually work with shades as opposed to colors.
Right.
Light, darks, so I can actually fade some in of different colors that don't even go together. If I feel it blend it with the white and all kind of things. I got gravity paintings where I just throw paint on the wall and let the weight of it drip down so far, turn the canvas and let it drip so far that way, and mix, and then all of a sudden I start seeing things in it. Same way I do a song. I started hearing something, then I started editing it, till it started, oh, this is a pattern. This actually feels good.
Right.
Okay, so it is an interesting process, and it's interesting how you have grown through this process. Now, your paintings, do they resonate? Well, for that matter, how many young people have seen it, or old people, or anybody? Has it been basically a private collection?
Well, we get ready to find out. Because now we get ready to let people say. So far, people that seen it love it, And I mean, it's actually funkadelic when you start looking at, okay, that's a funkadelic excuse at least, because we have some crazy album covers. And
right.
You said they're looking at it 1,000 years trying to figure out what it's doing and what it's saying. It's got that inspiration. I'm not no Pedro or Overton, but I've actually got the same feeling from funkadelic as they do. So whatever language I'm speaking, it comes out.
Well, when you think about it, though, because this has been such a fantastic conversation today. But I don't want to go anywhere without you talking, last but not least, about Black Music History Month, because you're so much a part of the history. And so your message to young people would be what? And your message to those people who've been following you all the years would be what? Because we look at you, we're so inspired by your energy, your traction, these new expressions.
Well, can I?
Yeah.
Well, he just started a foundation. It's called Protecting Our Legacy. We have our daughters there over the foundation, and we have all our grandkids in the band. And so the fact that he keeps that youth around him, it's like they're constantly learning. And then the older members in our band, they're teaching the young ones, and they're also learning. So he's I don't know, he's put something together. It's just awesome that comes out of it. So I wanted to say that part.
Yeah, but like you said, that foundation, again, we got Ben Crump on the board. He's part of it. The whole concept of educating ourselves. I mean, and we have to say ourselves because I'm still learning that. A lot of the techniques in the business itself that nobody didn't know about. This whole thing about equity, being able to leave it to your heirs and all that. We didn't.
Generational
wealth.
Generational
We
wealth,
didn't-
right.
Yeah, we didn't. We never was versed in that. That I mean, even land. We sold it as soon as you got old enough to leave the farm. You sell the farm, and not knowing that should stay in the family or sell it to somebody in the family.
Never sell.
We never understood that. We just now understanding that copyright recaptures don't belong to you; it belongs to your heirs. So you have to protect it, even if you feel like a fool having parties and everything. Remember that this belongs to your heirs, your kids, and nobody can take away from it if you know that.
Right.
And you have to know that because you will do things to spend it or lose it while you're growing up till you be responsible. We saying learn that as part of the music. While you're building your music, learn how to keep it and save because it is valuable. It stays in the family if you you let it.
And just as your art will stay in the family.
Right.
Same with art.
Right.
That's the same copyright. That's got the same kind of royalty base.
So the lesson for most young people is you must stay informed, you must be educated, you must stay aware, not only with your craft, but everything that surrounds your craft.
Everything
Right.
that's around it, because it's about money and all that. It don't only belong to you, it belongs to your heirs.
Yes, right.
Even though you're the one making it right now, it belongs to your families.
We was traveling 300 days out of a year all over the world, and while we were doing that, I was attending Berklee School of Music, and I was taking law classes, and I learned so much that I was able to install it into what we were doing, and found so much funds that we didn't know about. I was able to share with the other ladies on our management team, the daughters and granddaughters, and they all started going to Berklee, and they all learned different things. So
Yeah,
we just
got the
keep
whole family management.
Well, now you all just had an anniversary, and we can see why the collaboration of this team is so powerful. And it's not, again, here you are, you're married, you work together, you share the same goals, you share the same passions. But most importantly, and I think this comes from my family therapist standpoint, you grow together.
Yes.
And that's what I see. I see this growth, and these are the things that we want our audiences to take away. There's so many powerful lessons here. Not only just the growth and the story that you told and what you teaching this generation coming ahead of you. There are going to be a lot of talented people like yourself. There's so many messages here that we don't want you to forget. And so, Carlon Clinton, George Clinton, this has been a pleasure. This has been probably one of the most informative and one of the most meaningful shows that we've done so far right here from the heart. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
This has been a very, very special conversation. For those of you at home, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation with a living legend and, of course, his beautiful wife. Take good care, and from the heart, I'm Jane Marks. See you next time.